It's a semi-final sort of night here at Home Park this evening, with Argyle just one win away from Wembley. Hello, good evening and welcome to Argyle TV. What an exciting night we've got in store here at Home Park for you. Cheltenham fans have arrived, we've got Sky Sports behind us, and we should be in for quite a special game. As mentioned previously, Argyle just one win away from Wembley. Standing in their way, as mentioned, Cheltenham Town. We've already met them twice in the past 2 months, and a repeat of those results will see Argyle off to the home of English football. Kick-off tonight is at 8 p.m, and between now and then we will be building up to one of the biggest nights in the club's history. Director of Football Niels Dewsnip will be joining us very shortly. We're also going to be hearing from Ben Waine and Stephen Schumacher on their excitement ahead of this game, and of course we'll have all the important team news. But before we get there, and to help me all through it, is former academy coach Aaron Cusack. Aaron, how are you doing?
I'm very well, Erin. Thank you.
Nice
Good evening.
nice to see you again this evening. Big one this evening. Excited to be here?
Very much so. Very much under the lights as well.
Yeah.
It's a lovely evening. Pitch looks fantastic. Cup football's here.
Yeah, it makes a difference when it's, you know, quite a nice evening. You've got all the lights on around Home Park and there's a little bit of hustle and bustle. It kind of adds to the atmosphere and makes it quite special.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be needed tonight for Plymouth in particular, because they're going to want to put a good show on.
Yeah.
You know, in front of the Sky Sports cameras as well. An opportunity to get to Wembley.
Yeah, the stage is, I suppose, increased a little bit this evening with the presence of those cameras, which will gear us up, hopefully, for another big show at Wembley if we make it there. Not that we want to hedge our bets yet. We are playing Cheltenham tonight, and we have played Cheltenham twice in recent months with successful outcomes. So what are you expecting this evening?
Well, I think they're always going to approach with an element of caution and respect for the opponent. So Schumacher would have, you know, set the team up in the right way. Sometimes football's an interesting concept, because if you play the same team a number of times across the season, it perhaps becomes a little bit more difficult to then break them down, because you learn more about them. So, you know, no doubt they would have done their homework. You know, they've set up a very strong outfit, and, you know, Stephen Schumacher's going to put the 11 on the pitch that they think is capable of winning the game.
Yeah, and of course, you know, we've been with Argyle throughout the process of the Papa John's Trophy. Previously, it's been a great opportunity for some of the younger players, the academy players, to get a showing. As we get closer and closer to the home straight, Stephen Schumacher, as we'll see in a moment, is starting to bring on, you know, stronger and stronger, more established sides, isn't he?
Very much so, and I think probably at the start of the season, if you look at the priority of games, the League, the FA Cup, the League Cup, you know, one would perhaps agree that this competition is the lowest priority, but as the season is now progressing, you know, they've run deep into the competition, and now it's serious because there's an opportunity to win a cup, which I don't think the club's ever done.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're one step away from Wembley, an opportunity to win their first piece of silverware in a cup competition.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, you know, we are going to see the largest crowd, I think, for the Papa John's Trophy we've had at Home Park here this evening. I think about 12,000 tickets have been sold. So it just shows the appetite for Argyle when they're on a winning run, like they have been so far in this competition, but also in the league as well. You know, they're doing particularly well, second at the moment. There's a lot to be proud of, isn't there, amongst the club?
I think it's been a fantastic season, but they will want to get over the finish lines in both competitions. Naturally, the promotion is probably the higher priority, but, you know, Stephen Schumacher, I thought, made a really good comment the other week about when he was asked about the number of games left. It was referring to the league competition. But he said, actually, I think it was 15. He said, no, there's potentially 17 games left, because that's including the semi-final here and the final. So it just goes to show the priority and the importance he's placing on this event as well.
And I suppose, you know, it's big for him as a manager and a club as a whole, with the potential of a promotion on the horizon this season and the opportunity to take home that extra silverware as well.
I think it will just add to the celebrations. You know, not only do, you know, football players, professional players want to win things. So as well as they, you know, they want to get promotion and get recognition there, but they want a piece of silverware as well. You know, and Stephen Schumacher could become potentially the first Argyle manager to win maybe a promotion and a cup in the same season.
Now, Wembley Stadium is the goal for this. Been yourself?
I've been a couple of times, yeah.
Talk to me about, you know, the grandeur of the occasion and just being at Wembley.
I went to the old Wembley when Argyle won promotion in '95 as a young kind of 12-year-old. So I remember Ronnie Morget scoring the winner against Darlington. So whilst, you know, we've got the new arch of Wembley now, it's still a grand spectacle, and players want to play at the biggest stadiums in the world. And you know, this is no different. So it's an opportunity to go. If Argyle get there, no doubt we'll empty the city and it'll be a full house. You know,
Plymouth will be in London for sure. Let's take a look at the Argyle team then that are up against Cheltenham tonight and bidding for a place in the final at Wembley. They are as follows: Callum Burton, James Bolton, Jordan Houghton, James Wilson, Matt Butcher, Joe Edwards, Danny Mayer, Niall Ennis, Michael Miller, Finn Azaz and Brendan Galloway. And then on the subs bench, Adam Parks, Macaulay Gillespie, Ryan Hardy, Sam Cosgrove, Ben Wayne, Callum Wright and Jay Mattetti. I mean, the closest thing we've got to compare it to is the league game that we had on Saturday. There's a few changes in there, but like we spoke about, Stephen Schumacher has put out a strong side. No academy players in there this evening. He's going for it. I
think it demonstrates what, you know, his intentions are into this fixture, and the fact that he's put out a very strong side. You could argue maybe Brendan Galloway, James Bolton, Mikel Miller are the three that are shorter of minutes in recent months, but that's a testament to them getting their fitness back up, and also the trust that the manager has in playing those three in what is a very big game.
Yeah. I mean, you know, this is something that Argyle fans will be looking forward to if it works out. So not an immense, you know, lot of pressure on them. They are, of course, you know, established footballers. We're used to seeing them playing around the club. But like you said, having maybe less minutes than everyone else, it's, you know, testament to their abilities.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're fit and they're ready to go, you know. And what's brilliant is that the depth of availability waiting in the wings as well. So if things don't quite go to plan A, B or C, there's a number of variations that you can pull on to try and get the win.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Ryan Hardy and Sam Cosgrove on the bench. You know, both put in great efforts at the weekend as well. So I'm sure we're likely to see them come on the pitch as well at some point this evening.
Yeah, and what's good about it as well is the variation of goal scorers. You know, I think in the last 11 goals that they've scored, there's been 8 different scorers. I think Hardy and Cosgrove are the only 2 that have perhaps got a double in the odd game. So it just goes to show the strength and depth available should a goal or 2 be needed in the latter parts of the game.
We've also got to mention Nigel Lomvik as well, because he's been quite a regular fixture in the Argyle squad as of late. Suspended for this evening's game, so that's why you won't have seen him on the list. But let's turn our attention to Cheltenham's team now. They are, of course, our opposition for this evening, and this is what it looks like for them. We've got Luke Southwood in goal. Sean Long is captaining their team, and then we also have Charlie Raglan, Liam Sercombe, Alfie May, Will Ferry, Ryan Jackson, Elliot Bonds, Aidan Keener, Taylor Perry, and a familiar name there in Ryan Broom. Substitute: Sean McDonald, Charlie Brown, Callum Ebanks, Dylan Barkers, Christian Norton and Adelaide Sambu. just before we came on Argyle TV, Aaron, you were having a little look at their players in, marking out where you think they're going to be playing. Ryan Broom, I think you're saying possibly on the left this evening. What are you making of what they've put forward for tonight?
Well, it's a very similar lineup to when they came down here a couple of weeks ago in the league fixtures. So, perhaps what it might showcase is that they haven't got the depth Plymouth have in terms of personnel to call on. They're going to want to show a response to their 4-0 defeat at home on Saturday, so they've got a lot to prove. It's an opportunity for them to get to Wembley as well, so there'll certainly be no pushovers, and Argyle have got to give them the respect that they deserve. But on the balance of things, if Argyle can play how they have done over the course of the season, they should have enough in their armoury to get the win.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you look at Argyle compared to Cheltenham, because Argyle have got a lot of depth in their squad. Sometimes Stephen Schumacher will put out a team that is sweepingly different to what we've seen on a previous game, so much so that the fans aren't even sure who they're going to see. And it's interesting that you make that contrast between Cheltenham, because having come from playing Argyle twice in recent months, losing twice, you might think they would be looking to make some more kind of obvious changes, but clearly
it might not be at their disposal, unfortunately, the resources that they have, so they have to go with what they've got. What Argyle have to approach the game, they need to play the game, not the occasion. I think that's vital, and no doubt the managerial cohort would have made that aware to the players. Play the game, play the moment, don't worry about the occasion, and if you do that, you should come out on top.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Broom, one name that we need to mention. We are familiar with him, of course, at Argyle. Strong player. I think he's going to be presenting some difficulties for our squad.
Well, I mean, you have to respect him as a professional, and like we said a couple of weeks ago, that whilst he will have an affiliation with the club, his parent club now is Cheltenham, so he's got to try his best for them. And with him and Alfie May, I think they're the only two. Alfie May with 9 goals. I think Ryan Broom's got a couple, so they don't pose an extensive depth or threat. Sorry, so. It's how they see fit. I think if they can nullify Alfie May as best they can, I think that limits the options Cheltenham have.
Yeah, I mean, Alfie May is also one to mention, like you've said. I think he's maybe probably the biggest threat that Cheltenham have coming into this, and will be a strong contender to go up against the defence that Stephen Schumacher's put forward for tonight.
I agree, and having watched the game last time, I thought he was quite a handful, and Cheltenham have got this kind of dogged resolve about them where they don't kind of give up too easily. I know the weekend result would have been disappointing for them, but if you look at the previous fixtures, the games again that they have lost, the Argyle game was by 2, the other games have been by the odd goal, so they have got a capability of staying in games, and Alfie May is a threat, having scored 9 goals. I think they've only scored 25 goals all season anyway, so he's integral part of their forward line.
Yeah, I mean, their first outing against Argyle earlier on in the season, the goals were at a lot lower margin than that 4-2 that we saw just last month. And of course, I suppose you've got to factor in that this is not a league game. This is a separate entity in itself, and their club, much like our club, will be looking at it like that.
I think so. I mean, I wouldn't know for sure, but their managerial setup are probably saying to the players, it's a bit of a free hit. Go out and enjoy yourself, enjoy the lights, enjoy the occasion, and see what you can get from it. It's not like they're looking over their shoulder whereby, they're just teetering a little bit above the relegation zone. So for tonight, they might just play with a little bit more freedom and expression, which can sometimes go against, Plymouth in this situation.
And I guess if they can get one over on us tonight, that would very much work out in their favour, although we very much hope that doesn't happen. Stephen Schumacher may only be in his second year of management, but he's already packed in quite a lot. One thing he hasn't done yet, though, is coach a semi-final. So is he looking forward to it?
Feels good, doesn't it, saying it's semi-final? Semi-final for anything is always exciting, but semi-final for a cup competition where the final's played at Wembley, then it doesn't get much better than that. You don't get many opportunities as a player or as a coach and a manager, I'm guessing, to go to Wembley Stadium. So, yeah, I can't wait for it.
Yeah, it's not a position that the club has been in, really, at all. A cup semi-final. So it would make history if we were to win this.
It will, and to be part of that history is brilliant. I'm so proud to be in a semi-final, but obviously it's a game that we're desperate to win, and for Argyle to go to Wembley for only the 3rd time as well in the club's history is yeah, if we get there, it'd be a special occasion. So got to work really hard tomorrow, obviously, to beat Cheltenham, but the prize is lucrative, and yeah, we want to get there desperately.
You've said the word "if" quite a few times, and that is right, because we have to get past the Cheltenham side, who we've played a couple of times fairly recently already, but they'll be in the same boat as us on the opposite side, thinking we're one game away from Wembley.
They will, and you know, it's a different format here as well. They can, you know, set their stall out and try and do what they can. They know that if the game's a draw, after 90 minutes it goes to penalties. So yeah, it's a semi-final and everything's at stake. But if we learnt anything from the other two games against Cheltenham this season, is that they're really tight games. The first one that we beat them there at their place was close. We could have drew that in the last minute when they had a big chance. The game here was close. We couldn't seem to get away from them, but we managed to just about in the end. So yeah, we know we're going to be in for a tough game. It's not going to be easy, and we're going to have to be at our very best if we want to get to Wembley. We said at the very start of this competition we would take it seriously, because with us not being in a Central League or in an under-21s league or under-23s games, you always need fixtures, because you want to see your young lads play, your under-18s who all played in the early rounds and were outstanding. A few of them scored first goals for the club, and all the fans got to see them, and that's what the future looks like, so that's good. Then we've had injured players who are coming back, like James Bolton has played, Mikel Miller's played, get minutes in the team, which is brilliant. And then the new lads come. Ben Waine scores his first goal away at Bristol Rovers, and where we played really well. And Callum Wright played, and Jay Matete, I think, played as well. So all of that has just all worked kind of perfectly. But we just need to top it off now. We need to finish it off and put in a perfect performance if we can, and win the game, and then look forward to a real good occasion at the main stadium, yeah.
Stephen Schumacher talking there ahead of tonight's Papa John's Trophy game. Me and Aaron were just talking off camera about the atmosphere that's building here at Home Park. It's a really nice feeling. And also, you know, Argyle have been doing so well so far this league. Home Park has pretty much been a sellout. Yeah. And an opportunity like tonight, you know, you're bringing out really strong players that people want to see play, and it's maybe giving an opportunity for fans to come along that might not be able to because they haven't got a season ticket.
Absolutely.
And take a look.
No, absolutely. And I think perhaps an indication of the importance of the game is that there's 12,000 people potentially here tonight, whereas the early rounds there may have been just under 1,000 or just over 1,000.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a really, really important, you know, opportunity and occasion. The players are coming out here. They're very kind of ready for the game, and you know, like we said previously, Erin, you know, this is a serious position now. It's an opportunity to get to a major cup final and win a piece of silverware. Yeah, which would be lovely to see in the Argyle trophy cabinet. Of course, there is still potentially one more game to go before we get there. But let's have a little look at the route to this point so far. So Argyle, of course, in the semi-final tonight. They played Bristol Rovers, 1-1 on penalties for that one. And then Swindon Town was a 3-1 win for Argyle. Crystal Palace under-21s are in the mix, a 1-0 win for us there. They played and beat Charlton 3-2. AFC Wimbledon was 3-3 on penalties, and Bristol Rovers 2-0 leading Argyle to where they are tonight, semi-final game against Cheltenham Town here at Home Park. You know, it's not always seen as the most popular competition, is it, Aaron? I think that's fair to say, but it does show, as you've highlighted, just how crucial it can be to take it seriously. I think so, and if you look at the league form at home as well, as it's 16 home games, 14 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. If you also look at the results here in this competition, they haven't lost. Yeah. You know, so it just goes to show that the importance they place on not getting beat in their home ground. Yeah. You know, so irrespective of whether it's seen as a lesser competition or not, the results speak for themselves. You know, so whilst in the early rounds, Stephen Schumacher may have put out, you know, the kids and give them experience, they're not setting up to lose. Yeah. So it just goes to show the importance of this competition. Yeah. And Callum Burton as well, to mention, has been playing in these Papa John fixtures so far.
as the goalkeeper. Now, of course, he finds himself in the position of being Argyle's main goalkeeper, with Mike Cooper out on that injury, which I'm sure has worked out very beneficial for him to, get those games under his belt in this and then transition into the league.
Very much so. And, the majority of these games, I think of all of these games, are midweekers, so under the lights, an evening game. Sometimes there's a slightly different atmosphere to an evening game. The conditions are slightly different, so, he will be well versed in that environment, and no doubt he's got an important job to do between the end of now and the end of the season.
Yeah. And I mean, you'll know this from being the academy coach, being able to bring on those younger players and give them an opportunity to perform in front of home park, under the lights, in front of crowds, big or small, must be fantastic for them as well.
In the early rounds, very much so. Getting your first break into the first team, getting that experience of what it's like to play, in a major competition against avid professionals, and cutting your teeth, so to speak, in the professional outfit. But what it's demonstrated now, it should be an inspiration for the younger players to go, right, this time next year I wouldn't mind trying to be in that competition, although they might not be in it if they get promoted. But it just goes to show the importance of how these can be good bedding positions for the younger players. But the fact that they put out such a strong side tonight showcases what they want to do now, which is win it.
But we couldn't be here without everyone's involvement running up to that. Let's have a little look at the social channels that you can get in touch with us on. They are on the screen for you now. Send us a message, let us know what you're looking forward to this evening, score predictions, and most importantly, my favourite one, where in the world you're watching from. We are very pleased to say that the Green Army extends far and wide across the world. I'm sure I could name a few of you. I won't do it yet. We'll maybe save some of those shout-outs for later on in the show this evening. But yes, get in touch and let us know where you are, what you're doing, and whatever you want to say to the Green Army. You are watching Argyle TV currently with me, Erin Black, and Aaron Cusack. And coming up after this, we will be joined by Neil Dewsnip. Welcome back. You are watching Argyle TV. One of the big pluses from this competition has been the emergence of young players, and to help shed a little bit of light on that process, I am joined by Director of Football Neil Dewsnip this evening. Neil, how are you?
I'm really well, thank you.
We were just talking, lovely evening, lovely atmosphere. You've forgone the jumper because you are the positive vibes you are feeling, keeping you warm tonight. I think we're on the way to Wembley.
I really hope so. No vest either. I really hope so, yeah. Yes, that's the plan.
Talk to me about the benefits of this competition, Argyle, of course, getting so far in it as well.
I think there are a number of benefits. You've alluded to one straight away. That was the opportunity for our young players to get experience with the senior players, obviously.
Yep.
And that's gone really well. So Oscar Halls has scored, Caleb scored, Will Jenkins-Davis has scored, Freddie has been on the pitch as well. So that's been a really massive plus for the young players. And for Stephen, for the manager, to see them under normal first team conditions and to see how they can perform. But I guess that's only one benefit.
Yeah.
I'm really excited because it's about getting to Wembley and the potential for the football club to go to Wembley. I'm yet to meet a football supporter who doesn't want to go to Wembley, so I definitely want to go. And hopefully that we can go there, represent Argyle well, and win a cup competition. Hey,
I think it's safe to say if Argyle made it to Wembley, the Green Army would be there in force. They never let the side down, do they, when it comes to the travelling fans in particular?
They will be there. Let's hope we can do that for them.
Yeah. And you mentioned as well, you know, the benefits of this kind of competition and the young players getting involved. It is multifaceted, isn't it? Because it's not only beneficial for them individually as players, but like you said, Stephen Schumacher being able to see them, assess them, see how they play in, you know, specific conditions with, you know, more experienced players. It can only be good for their careers and, you know, a managers just to see how they will do in the future.
Great for the staff to see the young players. Great for their peers to see that it's possible. So younger players who are maybe right now in the under 11s, under 12s, under 13s, they can see that it's possible here at Argyle, that there is a pathway and there is an opportunity. I'm sure that Stephen would see the Papa Johns next season as an opportunity for other young players to have an opportunity. And that we think that's really important here at Argyle.
Do you think Argyle putting in such a good performance in this run of the competition has maybe opened people's eyes a little bit further to see the benefits of the competition? I mean, as we were speaking to, you know, Aaron a moment ago, the league games for Argyle so far this season, at home in particular, spectacular, sold out crowds. People maybe that want to come and see it can't get in because it's just so popular. And this is providing opportunities for maybe people that aren't, you know, staunch football fans but have heard the rumblings of Argyle on a good run to come in and get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to need a bigger boat, aren't we? I think is the saying. It's wonderful. We would hope that anybody who kind of has the opportunity to come and watch us here at Home Park would take that. And an evening like tonight is an opportunity where Saturday was sold out. Well, tonight isn't quite.
No.
The attendances have grown and developed the closer we've got to Wembley, and let's hope we are going to go to Wembley.
Yeah, and I suppose, you know, tonight as well, the match has, you know, been picked up by Sky Sports, which again can only be a positive for the club as a whole. Talk me through, you know, that process and getting Argyle the exposure.
I think our profile is growing, isn't it? Kind of week by week, really. Which is we're not doing it just to grow a profile. That's lovely, but we're trying to progress as a club. We want to compete right at the top end of our current league. We want to be successful and we want to be in the Championship next year. The Papa Johns is a continuation of that success, really, and the momentum that we've built all season.
And if we were to win tonight, and if we were to go on to Wembley and win that, what would that mean, you know, to the club? Is it part of a bigger plan as a whole?
I think it's a statement, isn't it, to say we're for real. Not only are we contenders to get promoted, but we've hopefully just landed our first cup competition at Wembley Stadium. That would be, talking about profile, that would be great for the profile then.
Yeah. And have you, talking about tonight's game in particular, have you had a chance to have a little look at the side that Stephen Schumacher's put together for this evening?
I have indeed, yes.
Yes, feeling confident?
Yeah, definitely. We've worked really hard, both on and off the field, to put together a really good squad. There are 26 seniors now who are fighting for a place. One or two we know will always be injured. But Stephen has a thankless task, really, to tell one or two each Saturday or each game that they're not just in the 11, they're not in the 18. And they're all worthy. And that's before we get to those youngsters as well that we've already referred to. So we feel as though we're very competitive right now. But ultimately, it's 11 against 11. Sound boring, but it is the way it is. In a few minutes out on that pitch.
Yeah. But mentioning the squad as a whole there, the amount of good, quality, solid players that Stephen Schumacher has to choose from is, you know, a fantastic testament to the club, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's on so many different levels. So that is from the board of directors who backed us in January. We knew that we wanted to increase the number of quality players we have here at Argyle, but quite obviously that means more money and increased budget. And thankfully they were charmed. I can't remember who did that, but someone might have charmed them to say yes. But they've backed the manager, they've backed me, they've backed all of us. So hopefully that will be good enough to get us over the line in the league and also in this competition.
Now, other than saying Argyle are going to win tonight, dare I push you for any further predictions, or are you going to keep your cards close to your chest?
I'm not arrogant, but I am confident.
Okay.
So I have every belief in our team, whether it's the starting 11 or others who come onto the field this evening, that we can win and go to Wembley Stadium.
I think that is a good, nice way of phrasing it without hedging our bets too much, for sure. Thank you very much for your time, Neil. Just stay here 1 second, because fingers crossed we will be speaking again at Wembley when the time is right. One of the players who has benefited from this competition is, of course, Ben Waine, who made his first start and scored his first goal.
Literally a one-off game and we could be at Wembley, which is pretty crazy to think about. In New Zealand, maybe Wembley isn't talked about as much, but growing up in an English family, like obviously the FA Cup and stuff like that, Wembley and all the playoffs and whatnot. So I understand the history and I understand, what it's like. I think I went on a Wembley tour, I'm pretty sure, when I was like 10 years old or something like that. So that's the closest I've been.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to actually walk out on that pitch.
Yeah, get onto the grass.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I think Argyle have only been there twice before. We've had one win, one loss. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but a third time in our history. It means quite a lot to the club as well.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. I think that's going to be like a key motivator as well, obviously, for the rest of the squad and myself to push for the whole club to be there in general would be nice. I was obviously quite nervous. It was like my first start and I wasn't really sure what to expect. I was kind of just really going off complete adrenaline, to be honest, and I felt like I was running around like a bit of a headless chicken. But look, I got that goal and it was one of the best feelings. I feel like it helped me settle in a lot more. Don't get me wrong, I was also disappointed because I should have had probably 3 or 4, and that just plays on the back of your mind. Of course it does, always, but I think to be able to be involved in that straight away and kind of help where I could, I'm definitely happy with how it went. On
you as well, since you've come in, you've pretty much been involved in every single matchday squad. You've been in the club and in the country for a couple of months. How is everything? How are you settling in? Yeah, look, I think probably up until about 2 weeks ago, I don't think I'd probably settled in completely. Like now I've moved into my apartment and whatnot, so I think it's now just getting into the normal rhythm of things. And I think I've been lucky. I've been involved in some really big games. My first league game was Bolton, then I played against Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich. Like I've been chucked in at the deep end, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't want it any other way. Like it really kind of opened my eyes to what football's like over here and the standard of what the top teams and decent looking championship teams would be like. It would be a big help, wouldn't it, to have a pretty much full home park? Yeah, to have a pretty much full home park on a Tuesday night would be pretty spectacular, to be honest. I think it'd be special for the fans to be involved and potentially being part of that journey as well. And I'm sure they're thinking the same. But yeah, as much support as possible would be pretty nice. And it wouldn't be a bad stage to score your first home goal, would it? No, I'm really looking forward to that, and I hope it comes soon, to be honest.
Welcome back to Argyle TV. I'm joined once again with Aaron, back with me. We're having a little look at some of your social media comments while you're away. Pleased to say a few people getting in touch. Let's give some shout outs at the moment. First of all to JS, who goes by @HSWOJ7, just rolls off the tongue on Twitter. Big night tonight, fully support the league, being a priority of course, but a chance at Wembley cannot be passed up. Huge lineup with loads of attacking depth. I think that's kind of touching on what you were saying earlier, isn't it, Aaron?
Stuff.
I don't know. Let's get them on regardless. Richard Mofer as well saying big game for PAFC tonight, 1 game away from Wembley. We've also got to do a shout out to Sam watching all the way over in Houston. Said before, it would be lovely to see where in the world all of our Argyle fans are tuning in from. So that's a nice pin to put in the map. And one pin which we always have in the map and we always like to give a shout out to because it just gets more and more special each time is the one and only Tatsumaki Bones watching in Japan. And Aaron, you have been blessed
I've just seen it.
to be added to the mask bonanza. There is now an Aaron Cusack mask as part of the Argyle TV experience. Aaron, while it's on screen for everyone to look at, talk me through the emotions that are going through your head right now.
I'm not sure whether to be privileged for that or extremely frightened. I think I might go with the latter, but...
No, always privileged.
Okay, well, he's got my good side by the looks of it, so I'll take him that, so good choice.
Yeah, I tell you what, and that is the thing as well, because when you try and screenshot off Argyle TV, some of the pictures that have come out of me in previous weeks have not been kind. So I think he's done you good there.
Well, okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, we've just got to obviously get you maybe added into the Ian Stonebridge paddle, which was made last week. There's one with my face, one with Ian's face.
Yeah, I'm not quite there
Charlie
yet.
Price has got a mask as well, which we might have a little look at half-time. I think we'll be very pleased with that. But thank you to everyone that's getting in touch. Do continue to do so throughout the game. We will be back at half-time and at full-time as well. Right. I make it just under half an hour away from kick-off now. So after this, we will be continuing our build-up.
Can you pledge 35 hours for Project 35?
Pledge 35 hours for Project 35.
Pledge 35 hours for Project 35.
This is Argyle TV, and we are just under 30 minutes away from kick-off here, Argyle against Cheltenham. We have said that phrase a few times in recent months, but this is all for the Papa John's Trophy tonight. And a reminder that if it is a draw this evening after the 90 minutes are played, it's going to go straight to penalties, which is quite exciting. We were discussing that earlier, Aaron. That adds a little bit of added drama, doesn't it?
Very much so, because then it's literally sudden death, isn't it? It's not like you can get that added time of 30 minutes and extra time and then get to the penalties. You know, we see that in a lot of competitions where they maybe have a contingency plan for the extra time. That's not going to happen. So, you know, if it gets to that stage where there's a few minutes left, penalties, they'll have an idea in mind of who they might have to bring on and take off in preparation for that potential outcome.
Yeah, and Argyle have gone to penalties before in this competition, so watch this space. Cheltenham, though, are fighting a battle at the bottom of Sky Bet League One, but they are using this cup run as a little bit of inspiration. And like Argyle, they haven't been this far in the competition before, so let's have a little look and see how they managed to book their place in the semi-finals. 20 minutes until kick-off now here at Home Park, where the atmosphere is building for Argyle versus Cheltenham Town. So let's use this time as an opportunity to look back at the squads that we've got lined up for this evening. We will, as always, start with Argyle's team, and your 11 for tonight are Callum Burton, James Bolton, Jordan Houghton, James Wilson, Matt Butcher, Joe Edwards, Danny Mayer, Niall Ennis, Michael Miller, Finn Azaz and Brendan Galloway, and our substitutes Adam Parks, Macaulay Gillespie, Ryan Hardy, Sam Cosgrove, Ben Wayne, Callum Wright and Jay Matete. Lots to choose from. I think we can expect to see a fair few substitutions tonight and, you know, give us different playing options from Stephen Schumacher.
Very much so. I mean, just looking at the bench there, it's full of attacking opportunities, isn't it? And variation in particular. And going back to say someone like Niall Ennis, who, you know, want to get back in the goals.
Yeah.
Had a little bit of a niggle a couple of weeks ago. You know, there's a real kind of, I'm sure there's a real positive environment where they're all bouncing off each other. I'm sure they'll have a little bit of camaraderie as well about who scored the most goals. Hardy's currently winning, Cosgrove and Ennis, I want to catch him. So, you know, all done in the right spirit. Hopefully they'll back him to score tonight. Yeah,
lots to look forward to for the fans for sure. Let's switch our attention as well now to Cheltenham's side. So their starting 11 tonight are Luke Southwood, Sean Long, the captain, Charlie Raglan, Liam Sercombe, Alfie May, Will Ferry, Ryan Jackson, Elliot Bonds, Aidan Keener, Taylor Perry and Ryan Broom. And on their bench, Sean McDonald, Charlie Brown, Callum Ebanks, Dylan Barkers, Christian Norton and Adelaide Sambu. And Aaron, you picked Alfie May out as one that's probably going to be the main player to watch tonight.
Yeah, I think he's been their constant all year, Aaron, really. He's their main goal threat, and like I said earlier, if Argyle can try and nullify him, I think they thwart a big attacking threat that Cheltenham will pose. You know, Elliot Bonds scored a really good goal against Cheltenham the other week from distance, so you know, he will probably have confidence to, if the opportunity presents itself, to have a shot. I'm led to believe Aidan Keener is relatively new. He's done really well in Ireland, so he'll be an unknown quantity for Argyle. So you know, they'll have to respect, you know, what he brings. So, and it's interesting they've only got 6 subs, so it just goes to show either they might have a few injuries or might have people cup-tied. You know, the players that they've had more present in their first team might be on loan. So you know, sometimes that can go against them in a cup competition.
And like you said before, Cheltenham potentially could be approaching tonight's game from a bit of a different perspective to Argyle. You know, there's really less for them to prove, I suppose, and just more of an opportunity to get out there and just ideally pull back a win that they haven't been able to get against Argyle in the league.
Absolutely, and you know, they're not just here to make up numbers. You know, just hearing Wade Elliott, you know, just before the players come up on the pitch, he's got them up for it. You know, they want to get to Wembley as well, and they've got just as much chance as Plymouth have. So, you know, Argyle mustn't be too complacent. And it's important that they respect the opponents and play the game. Again, like I said earlier, not play the occasion.
Do you think having played each other so often, so regularly in the past couple of months will be a help or a hindrance to either team?
It's hard to call, really, because you know, if you've won 2 out of 2, you know, the away game where I think it was Boxing Day, was it? It was quite tight. It wasn't like Argyle nipped it, but they were always in control. It was a difficult game. The last 15 minutes were difficult. Argyle were under a lot of pressure. So, you know, and then the return fixture here a couple of weeks ago, whilst Argyle won 4-2, they were never really clear, I don't think. They went 2 up early in the game, out of nothing. And then Cheltenham pegged them back a little bit. So, you know, Cheltenham will fancy themselves. They have to. They're professional footballers, but let's see how it unfolds.
What do you think Argyle have to do tonight? Is it simply a case of not resting on their laurels and just assuming that because they've had Cheltenham before, they're going to be able to walk it tonight?
I think, look at it as 1v1 battles. Schumacher will probably say that. So you'd like to think if Argyle can win 9 of their 1v1 battles, they should win the game. And I think that's important. But if they only win 2 or 3 of their 1v1 battles, they might come up short. So they mustn't be too complacent.
And then finally, Aaron, before we hand over, because it's just coming up to 1:45 now, what would it mean to you if Argyle make it to Wembley? Will you be there?
If I can get time off, yeah, absolutely, we'll go there. I think it's the early April, isn't it, potentially? So I think it means everyone, you know, everyone's a football fan of this football club. You know, I've coached in the club. I was a young player in their academy, so it runs through me as well. We've got lots of friends and family who are Plymouth supporters, and it just brings everyone together. So let's celebrate a good season
Yeah.
and maybe turn it into a fantastic season.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Thank you so much for being with us pre-match here on Argyle TV. Aaron will be back again at half-time. But that is us done for the build-up section of your show this evening on Argyle TV. You can still follow all of the action for the rest of the night, though. If you're watching overseas, you can stream the game for just £10, which I'm sure some of you are probably doing already. But if not, head over to pafc.co.uk to find out how. If you live in the UK, then you can also catch the audio commentary for just £2.50. All the information you need on buying either of those passes on the website. Charlie Price and Mark Edworthy are your commentators for this evening. They are standing by, ready to go, and hopefully to bring you some commentary of an Argyle win here at Home Park tonight. We will see you at half-time. Argyle v Cheltenham is coming up next.
On the edge of the area, gets it onto his left foot. Mumba! Well, good evening, everybody. What a night this could be for Plymouth